Tara Canby had always been the kind of woman the world tried to underestimate. At 25, she carried herself with a softness that belied the fire inside her. Her body was full, generous, round in the way African beauty sculpted itself naturally. She loved her curves, loved the way her clothes dipped and hugged the contours of her hips, the way her arms were soft but strong, the way her face looked warm and glowing when she smiled. But people always thought her weight was the first chapter of her story. They didn't know it wasn't even in the prologue. Tara had the kind of brain that turned problems into puzzles and puzzles into profit. She'd been like that since childhood, quietly observing, always absorbing. While other kids in primary school were playing tag, she was calculating how much her mother could save on groceries by switching brands. In secondary school, she built a small reselling business, buying cute stationery from online vendors and selling them to classmates at a markup. Her father used to laugh and call her, "My tiny tycoon." She grew up as the only child of Chief Adeoye Canby, real estate mogul, industrial powerhouse, respected philanthropist, and billionaire. That last part, the billionaire status, was something he carried lightly but everyone else carried heavily. It meant eyes were always on them. Eyes that judged, admired, hated, or envied. Eyes that pretended to see the family but really only saw the money. Tara learned early to ignore what people saw. She had her own eyes, and her eyes saw everything. At 18, she left Nigeria for Canada to study business analytics. Her father had wanted her to stay. He was protective in a way only a single father could be, but she needed the distance. She needed the world to know her as Tara, not the Akanbi heiress, not the billionaire's fat daughter. Canada was good to her. It was quiet, organized, disciplined. And for the first time in her life, she felt invisible, but in a good way. Nobody knew her. Nobody cared how much her father was worth. Nobody whispered behind her back because of her size. She thrived. She made friends, joined projects, interned at a top firm, graduated at the top of her class. And with the small savings from her internships, she launched her own mini-business, an online retail boutique that sold curated fashion items for plus-sized women. It blew up faster than she expected. Her customer base grew across Canada, then the US, then the UK, then suddenly the orders from Nigeria started trickling in. She felt unstoppable. Her life was on a quiet, beautiful upward climb, until the phone call that rerouted her destiny. It was a chilly Thursday evening in Toronto. Tara was at her small apartment, wrapped in a thick blanket, laptop balanced on her thighs as she updated her website. A cup of steaming peppermint tea sat on the table. Music floated softly from her Bluetooth speaker. Her phone buzzed. "Daddy." Her chest warmed. She always loved hearing from him. She picked up. "Hello, Daddy." His voice cut her off. Deep, serious, a little too strained. "Tara, my daughter." Her smile fell a little. "Daddy? Are you okay?" "I'm fine," he said quickly, too quickly. I need you home." She sat upright. "What happened?" There was a pause, a heavy one. She heard him sigh, long and troubled. "Tara, it's time." "For what?" "To take over the company." She froze. The words echoed inside her like a distant drum. She wasn't sure she heard correctly. "Daddy," she swallowed. "You mean now?" "Yes." He didn't elaborate, but she could feel the weight of it, the urgency, the exhaustion, the unspoken worry threading through his voice. Her heart thudded, fast and uneasy. "Daddy, you've been running a Canby group for over 30 years. Why suddenly?" "Tara," his tone softened. "I am getting older. I am tired, and I need someone I trust to step in." She pressed her palm to her forehead. "But Daddy, the board, the executives, they will answer to you," he said firmly, "as they answer to me. And if anyone has a problem with that, they can leave." It wasn't arrogance. It was truth. Chief Adeoye had built his empire from nothing. People respected him because he earned it. But Tara? She wasn't sure they'd accept her. "Daddy, are you sick?" she finally whispered. "No," he promised. "I'm healthy, but I'm not blind. There are things happening inside that company. Things they're hiding from me. And I need fresh eyes. Your eyes. Her breath caught. He trusted her. Really trusted her. I'll come home, she murmured. She heard the relief in his exhale. Thank you, my child. 2 weeks later, she boarded a flight back to Lagos. As the plane descended and the familiar landscape blossomed under the clouds, red earth, scattered roofs, winding roads, her heartbeat fluttered with mixed emotions. Excitement, fear, responsibility, curiosity. She wasn't the same girl who left years ago. She had grown, matured, hardened in some places, softened in others. But she didn't know what waited for her at home. When she walked out through the arrival gates, her father was there waiting. He hugged her so tight she almost cried. You look good, he said, stepping back to examine her. Stronger. I had to be, she teased. They drove home, talking about everything except the company. He didn't push. She didn't ask. They both needed the quiet before the storm. But that night, in the living room, after dinner, she finally voiced the question sitting in her chest. Daddy, you want me to take over the company, but how am I supposed to know who to trust? He hesitated. Then she saw it, his face, lined with worry, with stress, with the kind of exhaustion men like him rarely showed. I don't know anymore, he admitted softly. That is why I want you there. Tara's mind turned. Fast, sharp. And then the idea came. Daddy, what if? She paused, gathering courage. What if I enter the company not as myself? His brows furrowed. What do you mean? I want to see the company from the bottom, she said. I want to watch the staff, hear the way they talk, see how they behave when no one is watching. He blinked. Tara, what exactly are you planning? She inhaled deeply. Let me join the company as a gardener. Her father choked on his water. A what? Daddy, it makes sense, she insisted. Gardeners see everything. They move across the compound. They hear conversations. They're invisible. Tara, this is madness, he sputtered. You? A gardener? It's the only way, she said firmly. If I walk in as your daughter, everyone will pretend. Everyone will hide their real colors. But if I enter as a nobody, I will see the truth. Her father stared at her, stunned, trying to wrap his mind around what she was saying. Then slowly, a smile crept onto his face. Proud smile. You truly are my daughter, he whispered. She smiled back, and the plan was born. Over the next week, Tara transformed. She consulted with a professional disguise artist, someone her father trusted. Together they created a whole new version of her. A slightly tangled braid wig, a worn-out clothes, oversized round glasses, a soft rubber slippers. A little dirt smudged on her arms and skirt. A posture that made her look smaller, unsure, blend unable. She practiced lowering her voice, avoiding eye contact, walking quietly. When she looked in the mirror on the morning of her new job, she barely recognized herself. Ready? Her father asked. Ready, he sighed. You know you don't have to do all this. She smiled softly. I do. When she stepped into the massive compound of her father's company, pushing a small wheelbarrow, head down, ID card clipped to her faded shirt with the name Tiniola Moses on it, no one looked at her twice. She was just another staff member, another gardener, another shadow. Perfect. She swallowed a breath, tightened her grip on the wheelbarrow, and whispered to herself, let's see what's really happening in this place. And with that, she stepped fully into a world she thought she knew. But absolutely nothing could prepare her for what she was about to discover. Becoming invisible was easier than Tara expected. Not because she lacked presence, far from it. Tara had always walked into rooms like she owned them, even when she didn't. She had a natural confidence, a glow that made people pay attention. But the trick to invisibility wasn't to erase yourself. It was to give people something they didn't want to look at. A gardener, a nobody, a person in the background. People didn't look at people they assumed didn't matter. And that was exactly what Tara needed. Her father had reluctantly agreed to her plan, But even he was shocked by how convincing she looked after the disguise team finished with her. The transformation was subtle but powerful. Her hair was no longer the lush curls she usually kept in a blowout. Instead, her wig was tied into a rough single braid that hung tiredly down her back. Her clothes were faded, the kind thrift stores rejected: muted brown top, cheap wrapper-like skirt, old slippers with one strap repaired using a rubber band. A little dust on her forehead, a faint smudge on her arm, her glasses, round, oversized, slightly foggy, completed the look. She looked like someone life had pushed to the margins. Even her father needed a second look before whispering, "My God, Tara, this is risky." She squeezed his hand. "Trust me." He nodded, but she could see the worry in his eyes. His daughter, the woman he'd raised with love and protection, was about to walk into the lion's den pretending to be prey. Tara left the mansion at 6 a.m., sitting in the back of a staff shuttle to blend in. No one turned to look at her. The other workers were busy dozing, scrolling their phones, or complaining about traffic. The shuttle reached the massive Akambi Group building just after 7. The building was modern and intimidating. Glass walls, silver edges, flags fluttering, security guards patrolling. She knew the architecture by heart, but today it felt different. Today she wasn't entering as the chairman's daughter. She was entering as Tiniola Moses, new contract Gardner. Her heart thudded, heavy with anticipation. She adjusted her glasses, grabbed her wheelbarrow, and stepped into the compound. No one paid attention. Perfect. The landscaping department was located behind the main building, near the staff cafeteria. Tara approached the small shed where Gardner stored tools. Inside, 3 men sat around a plastic table, sharing puff-puff and agbalumo. One of them looked up. "Yes? What'n you want?" She kept her voice soft, slightly shaky. I'm the new Gardner. They told me to report here." Another man sized her up. "You be new person? You go suffer." Oh. Laughter broke out. Tara lowered her gaze and nodded timidly. "Name?" the first man asked. "Tiniola, sir." "We no day do sir here," he said. "Just call me Shola." He tossed her a faded green apron. "Start with the side garden near the admin block. The flowers there don't spoil." She nodded, grabbed a rake, and hurried out. As she walked, she felt the sting of the mocking laughter behind her. This is only the beginning, she reminded herself. Her first hour as a gardener was eye-opening. From where she knelt trimming the hibiscus shrubs near the administrative building, she watched staff strolling in. She studied every pair of heels, every corporate suit, every staff ID, every interaction. She could tell instantly who worked hard and who performed for show. Some employees walked briskly, holding tablets, reviewing reports as they moved. Others drifted lazily, chatting loudly about useless topics. A group of 3 admin women walked past her. "Have you heard? Colin said the new intern looks like a goat," one said, laughing. "Ah, that man's mouth is fire," another one replied. They didn't even glance in her direction, as if she wasn't there. Exactly what she wanted. She encountered them properly 30 minutes later. 3 women from administrative support. Tara was watering a row of roses when they sat on a nearby bench with steaming cups of tea. "My sister," one of them began. "Have you seen Madame Cynthia today? That woman fine no be small. Fine coup? A beg she get body, she get money, and she get man." Another whispered dramatically. "Who?" "The operations manager." The third one scoffed. "Ah, everybody knows. That one no be gist." They all laughed. Tara kept watering, head low, heart noting every word. So the rumors were true. Collins and Cynthia. Interesting. One of the women suddenly glanced at Tara. Her eyes swept from Tara's head to her toes. "New Gardner." "Yes, ma." She wrinkled her nose. "She's so big." Tara pretended not to hear. "What did they even see in her during interview?" the woman muttered. "Maybe she cheap," another said. More laughter. Tara felt the sting but swallowed it. She wasn't here to prove anything. She was here to see. And already the company was showing its true colors. During her midday break, Tara went behind the logistics block. She needed shade, but instead she found 5 men, grown men, snoring loudly on benches beside a stack of unopened shipment boxes. One had even laid his head on a sack of office supplies. She blinked. They were supposed to be out on delivery runs. Instead, they were dreaming peacefully on company time. A voice whispered behind her, "Don't mind them. That's their daily routine." She turned. A young cleaner, petite with a friendly smile, stood holding a mop. "I'm Fatima," the girl said. "You're new, ABI?" Tara nodded. "Yes, first week." Fatima sighed. "Sorry. This company. You will see many things." "Like what?" Tara asked gently. Fatima looked around, leaned in and whispered, "Most people no day work. They just form GRA. It's only a few of us that actually do our job." Tara liked her instantly. Someone who noticed. Someone who cared. Fatima suddenly checked the time. "My supervisor will kill me if I stand too long. See you around." And she hurried off. Tara watched her go, a small smile forming. Not everyone here was a lost cause. At exactly 1:15 p.m., Tara had her first close encounter with the man she was most curious about long before she stepped into the company. Collins Bamadil, operations manager, charming devil in human form. He walked out of the central lobby like he owned oxygen. Tall, handsome, dressed in a fitted navy blue suit with a gold wristwatch that screamed, "Stolen money," louder than any alarm. His smile was smooth and practiced, the kind of smile that had fooled many women. He was speaking to someone on the phone, voice deep and arrogant. "No, I told you. If she doesn't give me what I want, she can kiss her job goodbye." He ended the call and turned, just as Tara stepped out from behind a flower bed. Their eyes met. For one slow second, he scanned her, head to toe to head. And then the smirk came. "New Gardner." "Yes, sir." "You're interesting looking." Tara remained still. "I can teach you how things work here," he said, voice dropping suggestively. "No, sir. I will manage." His face hardened instantly. "Really?" "Yes, sir." He stepped closer. Too close. "You'll regret forming Pride for me," he whispered. Then he walked off, perfume trailing behind him like arrogance in vapor form. From the second-floor window, Tara spotted a woman watching the interaction. Tall, sharp-faced, wearing a pencil skirt and red lipstick. Cynthia, finance manager. Collins' rumored lover. She was staring at Tara with calculating eyes, as if Tara were competition. Tara almost laughed. If only she knew. That night, back at the mansion, Tara sat with her father in his study. "What did you see?" he asked, anxious. "A lot," she said. "And it's only day one." She told him everything, the gossipers, the lazy staff, the attitude, the lack of discipline. But she left out one detail. Collins. She needed more time before she brought that part to him. Her father listened quietly, occasionally shaking his head. "My company," he murmured, "has rotted under my nose." "Don't worry," she said, a small smile spreading. "I will fix it." He squeezed her hand, pride flooding his eyes. The next morning, Tara woke at 4:45 a.m., tied her wig, slipped into her faded clothes, and became invisible again. She was getting good at it. As she stepped into the compound at sunrise, pushing her wheelbarrow, no one greeted her or looked twice. Good. She wasn't here for friends. She wasn't here for validation. She wasn't here to be liked. She was here to observe. To gather evidence. To expose the rot. To prepare for the throne she would soon inherit. Tara Akambi, the billionaire's daughter, had officially become a ghost inside her own legacy. And the company had no idea the storm that was coming. For the first few days, Tara moved through Akambi Group like a shadow, quiet, unnoticed, and almost forgotten. She woke early, tied her wig, stepped into her faded Gardner outfit, and arrived before most of the staff. The mornings were always peaceful. Soft dew on the hedges, crisp air before the sun hardened, the rhythmic chirping of birds around the compound. It was the only time the company felt calm. By 8 a.m., the chaos started. And it was loud. A Canby Group was supposed to be one of the country's most respected enterprises, known for discipline, structure, and high standards. But from her undercover position, Tara saw a very different reality. Supervisors strolling in at 9:30 a.m., junior staff spending hours on TikTok, printers jamming because no one serviced them, dirty break rooms, late reports, office gossip everywhere. It was dysfunction wrapped in corporate wallpaper. But no one dared talk about it because everyone assumed the chairman saw everything. He didn't, and those who knew the truth protected themselves. Tara kept her head down, pruning flowers and trimming hedges, but her eyes and ears were open. She saw the rot layer by layer. By the third morning, Tara had officially been accepted as part of the background, which meant the gossiping admin women no longer bothered to lower their voices around her. They sat at their usual bench near the fountain, sipping hot tea like it was holy water that fueled their tongues. "Have you people seen Collins today?" one of them asked dramatically. That man is fine Shah," another replied. "But his mouth is sharp like blade." The third woman hissed. "Fine for what? Abeg, the man is useless. He's only good at using women." Tara paused from trimming the rose bushes, pretending to adjust the sprinkler while listening without lifting her head. The first woman leaned forward, voice dropping. "You know that new intake from marketing? The slim one with curly hair." Yes, that fine girl. She resigned yesterday night. Just like that." "Why?" "Because Collins asked her to come to his office after work. She refused." Next thing, her appraisal report suddenly changed. Negative comments everywhere. The women gasped. "He really did that? My sister, that man has destroyed careers in this place. If you don't agree with him, he will make your life hell." The conversation hit Tara like a punch. She knew the man was arrogant. She knew he flirted too easily. But now she was hearing the truth. He wasn't only a nuisance. He was dangerous. The women continued talking. "And Cynthia is no better," one added, rolling her eyes. "Madam carries herself like queen, but she's just his handbag. And both of them are eating money like groundnut." Tara tightened her grip on her watering can. She wanted to go straight to HR and demand an investigation, but she reminded herself she couldn't reveal anything yet. She needed proof, and proof required patience. Later that day, Tara wandered toward the logistics yard, pretending to pick dry leaves, when she found the lazy five doing what they did best. Nothing. Two of them were lying on the grass. One was peeling oranges. Another was browsing football news loudly on his phone. And the fifth was bragging. "Omo, at the end of this month, I must hammer. Overtime go pay die." Tara blinked. Overtime? These men slept more than her cat back in Canada. Another man laughed. "Guy, say we no day do anything but the system no day know. Nah, my supervisor help me fill the sheet. Nah, why I day loyal to am. Man must chop." Tara's jaw clenched. Ghost overtime. Fabricated work hours. Supervisor collaboration. This wasn't just laziness, this was fraud. But she said nothing. She simply cut a few weeds and left quietly, ignoring the fact that the men didn't acknowledge her presence. She was invisible. And that invisibility was turning into a weapon. By Thursday, Collins had fully taken notice of her. He liked to walk around the compound at random hours, sometimes to look important, sometimes to hunt for vulnerable women to corner. This time, he found Tara sweeping near the entrance. He slowed down. "You again," he said with a smirk. Tara kept sweeping. "Good afternoon, sir. You don't talk much." "I'm working, sir." He stepped closer, lifting her chin with a finger. "You're a big girl. You should smile more. It will make you look softer." Tara stepped back, lowering her gaze to hide the disgust rising inside her. "Sorry, sir. I need to finish here." Collins stared at her, eyes narrowing. "You're forming hard to get. You don't know who I am." She bowed her head. "I'm sorry, sir. That's more like it." He smirked and walked away. Tara exhaled sharply. Inside, she was burning, but she forced herself to stay calm. Recording him now would alert him. She would wait for him to slip. She knew he would. Men like Collins always did. That afternoon, she witnessed something she hadn't planned to see. She was watering the shrubs near the finance department when she heard raised voices through an open window. She froze. Inside were Collins and Cynthia. "You said the chairman would be traveling," Cynthia hissed. "Now he's calling emergency meetings every week." Collins paced. "Relax. The old man suspects nothing." "Don't be so sure," she snapped. "If he checks the books, we're dead." Collins scoffed. "He won't. He trusts you. That trust is exactly why he will check." Tara's heartbeat raced. They were worried. They were hiding something significant. She leaned closer, pretending to pick a fallen leaf. Then she heard it. "We need to clean the accounts before month-end," Collins said, "and delete the old payroll records." Tara's heart froze. Delete payroll? They were stealing and planning to cover their tracks. She quietly backed away and walked off before anyone saw her. The web was bigger than she thought. Friday afternoon, something happened that shook her more than she expected. She was carrying a bag of soil past the cafeteria entrance when Collins and Cynthia stepped out together, laughing loudly. Collins looked at her and smirked, then whispered something to Cynthia. Cynthia burst into loud laughter. "Look at her legs," Collins said, not quietly enough. "Like 2 bags of Gary." Cynthia giggled. "Her thighs are wrestling with each other." Staff around them laughed. Tara stopped walking for a moment. She wasn't used to this. Not because she hadn't heard insults before. She had. But because she wasn't used to being powerless. As Tara Canby, billionaire's daughter, nobody talked to her like this. But as Tiniola the Gardner, she was fair game. Her face burned, but she forced herself to walk away. Not a single person defended her. Not even one. And that told her something important. This company didn't just have corruption problems, it had culture problems. People were scared. People were selfish. People were weak. And people were tired. She could sense it. The few hardworking staff walked alone, avoided drama, kept their heads down. Fear had become currency here. And Collins and Cynthia were the landlords. Later that evening, Tara sat alone on the grass behind the building, pulling off her gloves and breathing in the sunset. She wasn't crying. She refused to give them that victory, but she felt something simmering in her chest. Anger, determination, clarity. This wasn't just about taking over her father's business anymore. It was about saving it. Suddenly, she heard footsteps. It was Fatima, holding a mop, her face full of concern. "Are you okay?" Fatima asked gently. Tara nodded. "Yes." Fatima frowned. "I saw what Collins and Cynthia did earlier. You didn't deserve that." Tara's throat tightened. "Thank you," she whispered. Fatima sat beside her. "Don't mind them. Many people here are wicked. Just do your work and stay away from trouble." Tara looked at her. This small, hard-working young woman who treated her like a human being. Not a joke. "You're kind," Tara said softly. Fatima smiled shyly. "We are all trying to survive." Tara watched her walk away and made a silent vow. When she finally revealed herself, Fatima would be one of the first people she rewarded. As Tara walked home that evening, she carried more than her tools. She carried the first layer of evidence. She carried the truth. She carried anger. But most importantly, she carried resolve. A Canby group was rotten. Her father had been betrayed. People were suffering. And she, the invisible Gardner, the daughter everyone underestimated, the heir nobody knew was already among them, would clean the company from the inside out. Week 1 was over. The real work was just beginning. Tara woke up Monday morning with a heaviness in her chest. Week 1 had been shocking, messy, and painfully revealing. She had witnessed laziness, gossip, corruption, and cruelty. Most of it aimed directly at her. But week two was war. She tied her wig, tucked in her fake ID card, grabbed her small bag of tools, and stepped into the compound with a stronger spine than she had the previous week. No matter what they threw at her, she would not break. She was here for a mission, and a mission required resilience. Tara had barely stepped into the garden with her rake when Collins appeared, swinging a file in his hand and wearing a smug grin like it was designer cologne. "Gardner," he barked. Tara turned. "Good morning, sir." He walked up to her slowly, clearly enjoying the power imbalance. "I told you last week. You don't talk to me anyhow." He waved the file. "From now on, you will be reporting directly to me." That was odd. Gardeners didn't report to operations managers. But Tara bowed slightly. "Yes, sir." He smirked. "Come to my office." Tara froze inside, though she kept her face straight. "Sir, I'm supposed to." "I said come." She followed him through the glass doors. Her heart pounded, not with fear but with contained fury. Inside his office, he shut the door behind her. No cameras in here, well, none she could access. So she mentally prepared. Collins sat on his table, arms crossed. "Why do you behave like you're better than the other gardeners?" he asked. "I don't, sir." "You do. I talk to you. You pretend you don't hear. I look at you. You behave like I'm disturbing your life." "I'm sorry, sir." He chuckled. "You should be. Because if you annoy me again, you'll be packing your load by Friday." Tara swallowed. He leaned closer. "But you don't have to lose your job. A fine, big woman like you, I can take care of you." There it was. The real motive. She stepped back. "Sir, please. I'm just here to work." He frowned instantly. "I see. You're forming." He stood up, towering over her. "Well, I don't force myself on anybody, but I can make life very uncomfortable for you." He dismissed her with a wave. "Get out." As she walked out, a few staff members glanced at her, some with pity, others with amusement. They had seen this pattern play out before. Tara didn't react, but deep inside, a storm was forming. The rest of the day unfolded like a coordinated attack. When she reached the garden toolshed, she found her wheelbarrow overturned and her watering can missing. One of the gardeners laughed. "Collins say make we no give you anything unless he approves." Tara blinked. "But I need to work." "Na him talk am." She bent without complaint, cleaned the wheelbarrow, filled it again, and fetched water manually from a farther tap. Every inconvenience became intentional. Every task became harder. And then came the whispers. The gossip trio watched her walk past. "She's still here?" one scoffed. "After Collins warned her?" Stubborn fat girl." Laughter. Tara kept walking. At lunch break, she tried to sit behind the shed to eat her packed food, a small bowl of jollof rice. But as soon as she sat, Cynthia appeared with 3 finance officers behind her. "Oh, look!" Cynthia laughed loudly. "The gardener is eating." Tara ignored her. Cynthia walked forward, pretending to adjust her skirt, and accidentally spilled her bottled water all over Tara's food. "Oops." The other women burst into giggles. Tara stared at the ruined food, her lips pressed together. She said nothing. She allowed no tears. Cynthia smirked. "Next time, don't sit on the floor like a goat." Then they walked away. Tara slowly stood up, wiped her hands, and threw away the food. Her stomach growled, but she ignored it. Hunger was nothing compared to the fire burning in her chest. Wednesday morning, everything shifted. Collins gave her a list of new duties, a page ripped from a notebook. Sweep the entire back compound. Rearrange the supply store. Wash the staff bus tires. Replant the east garden. Clean the cafeteria gutters. It was work meant for 5 people. Tara read it slowly and looked up. "But sir, this—" "You're not complaining, are you?" he sneered. "Or should I call HR and tell them you insulted me?" The threat hung in the air. Tara lowered her eyes. "No, sir." "Good girl." As he walked away, she whispered under her breath, "One more day." That afternoon, Tara went into the garden shed where the tools were kept. It was the one place she knew Collins and Cynthia rarely visited. She dropped her small backpack on the ground, pulled out a tiny pouch and opened it. Inside were microcameras her father's security consultant had given her. The size of a fingernail. Magnetic Wi-Fi enabled. Disguisable as screws or dirt. This was the moment she'd been preparing for. She placed one behind the watering tap near the finance office, another inside the toolshed, another on a tree trunk where the gossip trio always gathered. One more near the logistics yard. Two around Colin's outside walkway. She worked quickly, silently, expertly. Anyone watching her would see a gardener picking leaves or adjusting taps. But she was planting little eyes. And these eyes would not lie. By evening, she had her first breakthrough. The camera behind the tap captured Cynthia and Collins arguing. "You promised me money this week," Cynthia hissed. "I told you the chairman is restless," Collins shot back. "But we need to clear the records. Do you want us both to go to jail?" Tara's heart thudded. Cynthia continued, her voice shaking. "We've diverted millions, Collins. Millions. You said no one would find out." Tara leaned closer to the playback screen on her phone. Shocked. "Millions. Not thousands. Not hundreds of thousands. Millions." Collins growled. "Stop panicking. I'm handling it." Tara paused the video. There it was. Direct confession. Her chest filled with both relief and anger. She wasn't just being bullied. She was walking inside a den of criminals. Thursday was worse. Collins seemed frustrated with her resistance. He didn't like women who said no. He didn't like women who avoided him. He didn't like not being in control. So he escalated. He ordered her to mop the entire cafeteria floor during lunchtime, while people were still there. So the gossip trio snickered loudly. The lazy five snapped their fingers and called her waitress. Cynthia walked by and kicked her mop bucket intentionally, spilling water everywhere. "You're so clumsy," she said with a fake pout. More laughter. Tara stood in the puddle, gripping the mop like it was the only thing keeping her rooted. Another staff whispered nearby, "That new Gardner won't last. They've started bullying her." "No pity. She's too big and too proud," someone else said. Tara bit the inside of her cheek so hard she tasted metal. But she did not react. She did not break. If anything, she became colder, calmer, sharper. Because she had more recordings now, more evidence, more proof of corruption, laziness, bullying, fraud. Everything was adding up. Every insult strengthened her resolve. Every humiliation reminded her of the stakes. That evening, when she got home, she finally allowed herself to cry for a little while. Not because of the words or the mockery or the attacks. She cried because she was tired, exhausted, emotionally drained. She had lived two lives for nearly 2 weeks. By day, she was Tiniola the gardener. Silent, ridiculed, walked over. By night, she was Tara Akambi, the billionaire's daughter, gathering evidence to save an empire. The duality weighed on her shoulders. She curled into her bed for a few quiet minutes, wiping tears with the back of her hand. Then she sat up, straightened her back, took a deep breath, and whispered to herself, "You're the heir. You can't break now." And she didn't. Friday morning, Tara entered the compound ready. She knew what the cameras had picked up overnight. She knew she had enough material to expose half the management team. The game was changing. She could feel it. Collins came strutting toward her with another ridiculous task prepared. But for the first time, Tara met his eyes without flinching. He paused. Something in her gaze unsettled him. He frowned sharply. "Why are you looking at me like that?" Tara lowered her eyes slowly. "Sorry, sir." But the look had done its job. For the first time, he felt uneasy. He didn't even know why. But Tara did. She had the power now. Real power. And as she walked away with her rake, her heart whispered, "Soon. Very soon." Because the moment she finished gathering every piece of dirt inside this company, she was going to burn everything down and rise as the heir. Week 2 began like a storm gathering quietly. Not loud, not violent, but heavy, the kind of heaviness that made your skin tingle because you knew something big was coming. Tara felt it too. The more she watched, the more she realized the company was not just mismanaged. It was decaying from the inside. Corruption wasn't sprinkled here and there. It was rooted deep, like cancer slowly eating away at the soul of a Akambi group. The deeper she dug, the more she uncovered. And the more her father's voice echoed in her mind. I need your eyes. She was grateful he trusted her. She needed that trust now more than ever. By the middle of the week, Tara had fallen into a routine, one that would have broken a lesser person. Wake up by 4:45 a.m. Put on the disguise. Ride the shuttle. Arrive before dawn. Pick up tools. Become invisible. Repeat. She moved like a ghost, gliding from one part of the compound to another. She was so quiet that people sometimes walked past her without seeing her. She would pause and let them pass, then continue her tasks. But inside, she was exhausted. Physically from the constant manual labor, emotionally from the daily bullying, mentally from recording and keeping track of every piece of evidence. She had never worked this hard in her entire life, and yet she had never felt more determined. Wednesday, around 11 a.m., something unexpected happened. Tara was kneeling by the flower beds near the staff cafeteria, pruning with gloved hands, when she felt a small tap on her shoulder. She turned. It was Fatima, the cleaner she'd met earlier, the only staff member who had treated her with kindness since she arrived. Fatima held out a small black nylon bag. For you, she said with a shy smile. Tara blinked. For me? Yes, you didn't eat yesterday. I saw what happened with Madame Cynthia. Tara's heart tightened. Inside the bag was rice, boiled eggs, and fried plantain, neatly packaged in a food pack. Tara looked up at her. Fatima. Thank you. Fatima shrugged, embarrassed. It's nothing. Everyone deserves to eat. Then she whispered, eyes darting around. Please be careful. I don't want you to get into trouble. Tara nodded. I'll be fine. Fatima's voice trembled. No. You won't if Collins notices that someone is helping you. Tara exhaled slowly. I'll hide it. Thank you. Fatima smiled, then slipped away before anyone saw her talking to the Gardner. Tara sat back on her heels, feeling something warm crack through the ice that had formed inside her. Kindness. She hadn't realized how much she needed it. Later that same day, Tara overheard something she wasn't supposed to hear. She was trimming the bougainvillea near the HR building when HR manager Mrs. Oak emerged with two assistants, deep in conversation. One of them whispered, Madam, the chairman asked for the payroll records again. The HR manager's face tightened. Why? He looked at them last month. He said he noticed inconsistencies. Inconsistencies? Mrs. Oak scoffed. Let him come and check now. What will he see? Everything is clean. Her assistants exchanged glances. Mrs. Oak continued, Tell Collins to update me. I don't want surprises. Tara froze. So HR was involved too? Or complicit? Or scared? Something wasn't adding up. As they walked away, one assistant said under her breath, Madam, this is dangerous. Mrs. Oak replied with a cold chuckle. What's dangerous? The chairman barely comes around. And his daughter is still abroad. Tara nearly choked on her breath. The irony. She was right there, trimming plants under their noses. Tara learned quickly that staff had loose mouths around people they considered unimportant. Gardeners, cleaners, drivers, security guards. Invisible people saw everything. And 2 days later, that invisibility led her to the most important discovery of the week. It was Thursday afternoon. Tara was clearing leaves near the finance department when she noticed something strange. Cynthia and another finance officer slipped into a small back office she had never seen open before. The door closed fast, too fast. Tara's curiosity rose like steam. She pretended to adjust the sprinkler, inching closer. Voices floated out, soft at first, then clearer. We have to delete the old files before the chairman notices, Cynthia whispered sharply. The male officer replied, But the system logs everything, madam. Then override the logs. Those are permanent logs, madam. Are you stupid? Cynthia hissed. I said override it. Do what Collins taught you. Tara's eyes widened. Override system logs? Erase records? Hide evidence? This wasn't ordinary fraud. This was advanced internal sabotage. Someone inside had taught them how to cover their tracks. "Madam, if the chairman checks everything." Cynthia cut him off. "He won't. He thinks I'm loyal. And even if he checks, Collins knows how to manipulate him." Tara nearly dropped the gardening shears. Manipulate her father? No, impossible. But now she had it. A new path, a new lead, a new target. That evening, Tara was washing her tools when Fatima entered the shed quietly. She looked around nervously, then whispered, "Can I talk to you?" Tara nodded. Fatima stepped closer, eyes full of fear. "Something bad is happening in this office." Tara pretended to frown in confusion. "What do you mean?" Fatima swallowed. "People are talking. About Collins. About what he does with new workers. About how he blackmails them. And some people said, they said he bullies you because you refused him." Tara forced a tight smile. "I'll be okay." Fatima shook her head. "No, you won't. He destroyed my friend." Tara froze. "Destroyed?" Fatima nodded slowly. "She used to work here, in administration. Collins kept disturbing her. When she refused, he turned everyone against her. She cried every day. HR didn't help. They said it was office politics." Tara felt anger rise like boiling oil. Fatima continued, "One day, she didn't come to work. She never came back. No call. Nothing. I think she was broken." A deep, painful silence filled the shed. Tara felt her breath slow. Her fists clenched. She wasn't just investigating corruption anymore. She was investigating harm. Real harm. "What's her name?" Tara whispered. "Amara." Tara closed her eyes briefly. "I'm sorry," she murmured. Fatima blinked rapidly, tears forming. "Please be careful. They're watching you." Back at home that night, Tara sat in her room with her laptop open and her recordings lined up. She replayed every video, every audio clip, every confession, every insult. Her father knocked gently. "Can I enter?" She nodded. He sat beside her on the bed and studied her tired face. "You're pushing yourself too hard," he said softly. "I'm fine," she lied. "No, you're not." She looked away. Her father touched her hand. "Are you sure you want to continue?" Tara inhaled shakily. "Daddy, this company is worse than we thought. There is corruption everywhere. People are suffering in silence." "Collins? What about Collins?" She shook her head. "I'll tell you soon." Her father nodded slowly, trusting her. She leaned her head on his shoulder. "I won't stop," she whispered. "Not until I see everything." He placed a hand on her back. "You're stronger than I imagined." His voice cracked slightly, and in that moment, Tara realized he wasn't just relying on her as his heir. He was relying on her as his protector. The crack in the system had opened, and she had seen what was inside. Now the real dismantling would begin. That night, when everyone else was asleep, Tara crawled into bed and stared at the ceiling. Her muscles ached. Her heart felt bruised. Her mind raced. But her determination, unshakable. She whispered into the silence, "I will save this company, even if I have to tear it down first." And in the darkness, the company's invisible Gardner, the girl they mocked, bullied, overworked, and underestimated, made a silent oath. No more silence, and no more hiding, and no more fear. She was the heir, and her time was coming. The next week felt heavier. Tara arrived at the office on Monday with a knot twisting in her stomach. She had rested over the weekend, but her spirit still felt like it had been wrung dry and hung under the sun. She wasn't physically weak. She was exhausted in the way a person gets from fighting invisible battles day after day. And the worst part? It wasn't over. She stepped off the staff bus, adjusted her glasses, and began her slow walk toward the landscaping shed. The compound hadn't even warmed up for the day, but trouble was already waiting for her. Collins. He was leaning against a pillar near the entrance, phone in one hand, coffee cup in the other, face twisted in a smug smile like he had planned his wickedness in advance. As she passed, he said loudly, "Gardner." Her steps slowed. "Come here." Tara obeyed quietly, head lowered. She could feel his eyes crawling over her like insects. He sipped his coffee and smirked. "You're early. Good. I need you to do something for me." "Yes, sir." He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "You've been ignoring me." Tara blinked behind her glasses. "No, sir. I've been working." "Really?" He scoffed. "You think I don't see the way you avoid my office? The way you run when I'm coming?" She swallowed. "I'm just doing my job. You think you're too good for me, right?" His jaw tightened. "Big body means big pride, ABI?" Tara flinched, the insult landing in her chest like a stone. Collins smiled, satisfied. "I've tried to be nice to you, but it seems you need discipline. So let me help you." He reached out and dragged a finger slowly down her arm. Tara jerked back instantly. Collins' face darkened. "Really? I'm sorry, sir." Her voice trembled on purpose, not out of fear but strategy. "You should be," he hissed. "Because now I will make sure this week is unforgettable for you." He turned and walked away. Tara felt her pulse thudding in her ears. This man was dangerous. Not just corrupt, dangerous. And she had just become his target. The bullying escalated immediately. Before she even reached the shed, Shola, the senior gardener, handed her a crumpled sheet. "Manager Cersei make you do these ones today," he said without looking at her. Tara unfolded the list. Her stomach tightened. Sweep the entire female staff restrooms. Wash the company generator house. Trim the hedges facing the express road. Scrub the security gate floor. Repaint the old flower pots behind the cafeteria. This was not Gardner work. This was punishment. "You're giving me all this alone?" Tara asked gently. Shola shrugged. "Nah, manager order. You fit tell em say you no go do am." Tara forced a small smile. "No, it's fine." He snorted. "Good luck." By 10 a.m., Tara was covered in sweat and dust. She had scrubbed floors, climbed ladders, lifted heavy pots. Her back burned. Her arms felt like lead. But she powered through, taking notes and recording every interaction on her tiny devices. Everything was evidence now. As she repainted a cracked flower pot behind the cafeteria, she heard familiar heels clicking. Cynthia. The finance manager glanced at Tara, then burst into a mocking laugh. "Is this one not tired yet?" she said to the staff behind her. "See the way her arms are shaking. Maybe if she stopped eating like a tractor, she would move faster." The staff laughed loudly. Tara stared at the pot, hands steady. She would not give them a reaction. Cynthia walked closer, head tilted. Imagine looking like this and still having the audacity to reject Collins. "If it were me, I would be grateful someone gave me attention." The words stabbed deeper than Tara expected. Not because she cared what Cynthia thought, but because she realized this company had normalized cruelty. People laughed at insults. They found pleasure in humiliation. They sided with abusers because it was safer. Tara inhaled slowly and whispered to herself. Soon. Cynthia eventually walked off, her perfume trailing behind her like poison. Around noon, everything shifted from humiliating to dangerous. Collins sent a message through Shola. "Manager say make you go clean the storeroom." Tara stiffened. The storeroom, the one place every female staff avoided. The one place Collins used like his personal den. Her pulse quickened, but she had no choice if she wanted to remain undercover. She walked toward the building, climbing the stairs. As she reached the corridor, she saw Collins leaning against the door of the storeroom, arms crossed, smirking. "I was waiting," he said. She forced a respectful tone. "You asked me to clean here, sir." "Yes," he said, pushing the door open. "After you." Tara hesitated, eyes scanning the hallway. It was empty. Too empty. He stepped behind her and nudged her forward. Inside, the room was dim, filled with cleaning supplies, old office equipment, and stacks of dusty documents. The door shut with a click behind them. "Why are you afraid?" Collins asked softly. "I just wanted to talk." She stepped back. "Sir, I just came to clean." He cut her off, grabbing her wrist lightly. "Do you know how many women in this office would beg for my attention?" Tara's heart thundered. I'm not one of them, she said firmly. His face twisted. You think you're special? You think you're better than everyone because you're big? You think you can embarrass me? No, sir. I will destroy you, he snapped. You hear me? I will make sure you regret ever stepping foot in this company. He stepped closer, voice poisonous. And nobody will defend you because you're just a... He didn't finish. Someone was coming. Footsteps echoed loudly down the hallway. Collins froze, then quickly stepped back and cleared his throat. The door opened. Fatima peeked inside. Her eyes widened. Ah, sorry, sir. I didn't know someone was here. Collins glared. Get out. Fatima rushed away. He turned to Tara again, eyes burning with hatred. This isn't over. He left, slamming the door behind him. Tara sagged against a shelf, breathing shakily. That was too close. Too dangerous. If Fatima hadn't come, she didn't want to finish the thought. After lunch, Tara found Fatima cleaning the stairway. She approached her quietly. Thank you. Fatima blinked innocently. For what? For earlier. Fatima hesitated, then lowered her voice. I saw his face. He wanted to hurt you. Tara swallowed hard. I know. Fatima touched her arm gently. Please, you have to be careful. He's worse than people think. I will. Fatima stepped back, whispering, talk to someone. Tell HR. Tara smiled sadly. HR won't help me. Fatima's eyes softened. I'm sorry. Tara nodded. It's not your fault. It took everything in her not to reveal her true identity, not to promise Fatima that justice was coming. But timing mattered more than emotion. By the time Tara finished her list of impossible tasks, her hands were raw and blistered. Her ankles ached. Her shoulders felt like heavy stones. She walked toward the shed at closing time, moving slower than usual. But just when she thought the day was finally over, Collins appeared again. Tomorrow, he said coldly, you're reporting to the motor garage. They need someone to clean the gutters. Tara clenched her jaw. Yes, sir. And don't be late. I'll be checking. She nodded. He leaned in. I always get what I want, even if I have to break it. Tara didn't answer. She simply walked away. But as she did, she felt something inside her snap. Not fear. Not anger. Clarity. A calm, cold, unshakable clarity. That night, back in her room, Tara sat on her bed with her laptop open. The small cameras had recorded everything: Colin's threats, Cynthia's insults, the finance fraud discussions, HR's suspicious conversations. She replayed all of it one by one. Her door cracked open. Her father stepped inside. You're still awake? Yes. He studied her face. You look tired. I'm beyond tired. He hesitated. Do you want to stop? Tara looked at him, eyes burning with quiet fire. No, Daddy, she whispered. I want to finish. Her father nodded slowly. When you're ready, I will be with you. She touched his hand. Soon. He left, closing the door gently. Tara leaned back against her pillow, eyes staring into the dim ceiling. She whispered, he thinks he can break me. A long, breathless pause. Then her voice turned to steel. He has no idea who I am. Before sleeping, Tara downloaded all the recordings into a hidden, encrypted folder and backed them up to a private cloud. She set the cameras to higher sensitivity. She reviewed her next steps. And then she whispered to herself, tomorrow will be different. I'm done being scared. She wasn't just gathering evidence anymore. She was preparing for war. And the breaking point wasn't hers. It was Colin's. The company compound looked peaceful at dawn, but Tara knew better. Peace was an illusion around a Canby group. Behind the glass walls, behind the polished floors, behind the corporate smiles, there was decay. And she was done pretending not to see it. She stepped off the staff shuttle, her shoulders heavy but her mind razor-sharp. Her disguise felt lighter on her now, almost like armor instead of shame. She tied her wig tighter, adjusted her apron, grabbed her wheelbarrow, and headed toward the gardens. She had one goal for the day: finish collecting the last pieces of evidence, then reveal everything to her father, then burn the entire corruption to the ground. But she needed one more thing, one final solid proof, and she was determined to get it. When Tara reached the tool shed, she noticed something immediately. Silence. No chatter. No gossip. No laughter. Just uneasy quiet. The Lazy Five weren't snoring in their usual corner. The gossip trio wasn't strolling around with plastic cups of tea. Even the security guards seemed more alert. Something had shifted. A few staff glanced at her strangely, their eyes darting away quickly. Word was spreading. Not about who she truly was, no one suspected that yet, but about something else. Collins was angry. Deeply angry. And when he was angry, he became unpredictable. Shola, the senior Gardner, approached her cautiously. "Manager say make you come to his office," he said gruffly, avoiding eye contact. Tara raised her brows behind her glasses. "Now?" "Yes," he say immediately. Tara's heartbeat slowed, heavy and deliberate. This was it, the moment she had been preparing for. She thanked Shola and walked slowly toward the operations building. Colin's office door was open, but he was inside pacing like a man who'd lost something valuable. When he saw her, he stopped abruptly. "You," he said, pointing a finger at her chest. Tara lowered her eyes. "Good morning, sir." "Shut up," he snapped. Tara bit the inside of her cheek to keep her composure. Collins exhaled sharply, gripping the edge of his desk. "Something is wrong in this office. Something is happening that I don't like." She said nothing. He walked up to her slowly, eyes narrow. "Do you know what I think?" She stayed silent. "I think someone is spying on me." Her heartbeat quickened. Not fear, awareness. "Sir, He cut her off. "Don't talk when I'm talking." He came close enough that she could smell the bitterness of his morning coffee. "Someone has been recording me," he said. "Someone is trying to ruin me, and I intend to find out who." He leaned in. "Do you know anything about it?" Tara kept her voice low and soft. "No, sir." His eyes searched her face, suspicious. But she had mastered the art of looking harmless. After a long moment, he scoffed. "Of course you don't. You barely have sense." He turned away, muttering insults under his breath. Tara inhaled slowly. Each word he threw at her was fuel. Fuel she would burn him with very soon. As Tara walked back to the garden, her mind raced through possibilities. Collins was suspicious, but not of her specifically. He simply felt the walls tightening around him. She needed one last piece of evidence to seal it all. One final, undeniable recording. And the universe delivered it by lunchtime. It started with raised voices. Tara was watering the shrubs near the finance office when she heard shouting inside. Cynthia, and someone else. She turned off the hose, slipped behind the hibiscus hedge, and discreetly checked the tiny camera she'd hidden behind the tap days before. It was recording. Perfect. Inside, voices grew louder. "You said the overtime sheets were signed," Cynthia yelled. "They were," another staff replied. "But Collins changed everything." "You people are going to get me caught," she hissed. "Madam, we did what you said." "No, you didn't," Cynthia screamed. "The chairman keeps asking for payroll logs. If he sees the discrepancies before we clear them." Tara zoomed in with her small listening device. There was rustling, papers slapping against a desk. Then Colin's voice joined the chaos. "Will you both shut up?" Cynthia gasped. "Collins, tell them what you promised." "I promised nothing," he barked. "You people are too loud. You want the whole office to hear your nonsense. You said you would delete the old salary records." Cynthia pushed. "I said I would try." "Try?" she screamed. "We diverted 22 million naira. How do you try?" Tara's breath stopped. 22 million. It wasn't thousands. Not even millions. It was 10. The camera caught everything. The argument, the confessions, the panic, the blame, the fraud. A complete audiovisual statement of wrongdoing. A smoking gun. Tara's fingers trembled around the hose, but her face remained blank. just a tired Gardner working in the sun. Inside, her heart chanted, "Finally, finally, finally." Hours later, as the sun sank behind the buildings, Collins wandered outside the office looking agitated. He spotted Tara sweeping near the cafeteria. Perfect. He marched toward her. "You," he snarled. Tara stopped sweeping. "Are you following me?" he demanded. "No, sir." "Are you spying on me?" "No, sir." He glared. "Then how do you always appear when I'm angry? You are everywhere. In my face. Near the finance office. Sweeping where you shouldn't be." Tara blinked. "Sir, those are my assignments." He leaned in close. Too close. "You lie too much for a big girl." A few staff watched from afar. He grabbed her broom and flung it across the pavement. Tara inhaled sharply as the broom clattered loudly. Gasps rippled through the hallway. Collins pointed a finger in her face. "I swear, if I find out you are involved in anything happening in this office, I will make your life a nightmare. A living hell." Tara said nothing. She simply bowed her head. Silent. Still. Unbroken. Collins stormed off. But Tara didn't move yet. She couldn't. Her heart pounded furiously inside her chest. Not from fear. From decision. She had reached her limit. She had enough recordings. Enough evidence. Enough witnesses. Enough proof. It was time. Tara returned home that evening bathed in dust, sweat, and fire. She didn't even change clothes before entering her father's study. He looked up, startled. "Tara? What happened?" She pulled out her laptop. Her hands shook. Not because she was scared, but because the weight of everything she had held in was crashing forward all at once. "Daddy," she whispered, "I'm done collecting evidence." Her father's brows knitted. "What evidence?" She met his eyes. "And the dam broke." "All of it," she said. "Fraud. Ghost workers. Missing funds. Forged signatures. Sexual harassment. Abuse of power. Bullying. Overtime scams. Payroll manipulation. Theft. 22 million in diverted funds. False reporting. Everything." Her father stared at her in growing horror. "Tara, I recorded everything," she breathed. "I caught them all." She opened her folder. Pressed play. Video after video rolled. Collins threatening her. Cynthia mocking staff. Finance staff admitting fraud. Overtime scams. Ghost worker lists. Conversations about deleting logs. Her father sat frozen, his hand covering his mouth. When the last video ended, the room was so silent that Tara could hear her own heartbeat. She looked at her father. He looked broken, angry, ashamed, heartsick. "Tara," he whispered hoarsely, "you saved my company." Tears welled in her eyes. She shook her head. "Not yet." He straightened slowly, wiping his eyes. "What do you need?" he asked, voice deepening. Tara exhaled. She spoke only 2 words. "Come tomorrow." Her father nodded once. A heavy, powerful nod. Then he picked up his phone. "Prepare my convoy. Call the police commissioner. Call the EFCC chairman. Call legal." Tara watched quietly. The storm she had been preparing had finally arrived. And tomorrow, the Canby Group would face Judgment Day. She slept that night with a calm she hadn't felt in weeks. Tomorrow would be the end of their corruption, and the beginning of her reign. Morning at a Canby Group usually began with casual chatter, lazy footsteps, and workers dragging themselves into the compound like sleepwalkers. But today felt different. There was tension in the air, sharp, electric, almost metallic. The compound was too quiet. The staff walked like they were stepping on eggshells. Even the gossip trio whispered instead of yelling. No one knew what was wrong, but they all sensed something was coming. Something big. And they were right. Tara arrived at 6:45 a.m., stepping out of a regular staff shuttle like she always did. She wore her Gardner disguise. Faded skirt, apron, old slippers, hair in a rough braid. She looked like nothing. Nobody. A simple worker. But her eyes were different today. Calm. Cold. Focused. Today she wasn't here to hide. Today she was here to end it all. From her spot near the gate, she saw the black SUVs long before anyone else did. Sleek engines, dark-tinted windows, security vehicles in a tight formation. Red and blue lights not flashing but present. Police, the FCC, her father's convoy. They moved like a silent army. Tara inhaled deeply. This was it. As the convoy approached the front entrance, staff froze mid-step. Someone dropped a file. Someone gasped loudly. Someone whispered, "Yezu," under her breath. Within seconds, murmurs spread like wildfire. The chairman is here? With police? Is someone getting arrested? What happened? Why today? Every department felt it. People rushed to fix their clothes. Managers scrambled. Secretaries panicked. Supervisors called each other asking what was happening. Collins stepped out of the operations block at that exact moment, adjusting his tie and frowning. He walked toward the commotion, thinking, as usual, that he was needed. One of the security guards blocked his path. "Sir," the chairman asked everyone to report to the conference hall immediately. Collins puffed out his chest. "Everyone? Including me?" "Yes, sir. Everybody." He grinned smugly. "Good. I'll sit at the front." If only he knew. Tara watched him walk away, shoulders high and arrogant. Today would humble him. It took almost 30 minutes to gather the entire staff, from senior managers to cleaners to drivers. The conference hall buzzed with fear and confusion. No one had ever seen the chairman call a full company emergency meeting. The gossip trio whispered rapidly. "Is it financial trouble? Maybe the chairman wants to reshuffle management. What if he's retiring?" The Lazy Five looked scared for once. That HR looked like they knew something was wrong. Finance staff fidgeted in their seats. Cynthia sat near the front, crossing her legs elegantly, pretending to be calm. And then, Collins strutted in. He sat confidently in the front row, directly facing the podium. He looked smug, untouchable, large. Tara entered last, head bowed, blending into the far back of the hall. Nobody looked at her. Perfect. Silence fell sharply when the door opened and Chief Adeoye Akanbi walked in. The chairman, the founder, the lion of Akanbi Group. A man whose presence alone commanded respect. People stood automatically. Behind him were uniformed policemen and EFCC officers. Not with guns drawn, not aggressive, just present, solemn, authoritative. He stepped to the podium, his expression carved from stone. "Sit." Everyone obeyed instantly. Chief Adeoye scanned the room slowly, his eyes lingering on each department like he was weighing their souls. "When I call a meeting," he began quietly, "it is because something important has happened." People shifted nervously. "But today," his voice deepened, "something unforgivable has happened." A ripple of fear spread. Collins straightened in his seat. Cynthia's lipstick smile tightened. The chairman continued, "For months, I have received reports that did not match the true state of this company. I suspected lies, corruption, and misconduct." He paused. "But I needed proof." He looked toward the door. "And I got it." Murmurs rippled through the hall. "Proof? From where? From who?" Then the chairman said the sentence that shattered the room. "Bring her in." Everyone turned toward the entrance. The doors opened, and the Gardner walked in, slow, quiet, head bowed. Tara. She walked down the aisle, the same aisle where they mocked her, ignored her, insulted her, stepped on her dignity like dirt. Today she walked it with grace. Every step felt like reclaiming something stolen. People squinted, confused. Why is the Gardner here? What is going on? Did she do something wrong? Even Cynthia frowned. Collins smirked. He whispered to the person beside him, "Maybe they caught her stealing flowers." He laughed at his own joke, until the chairman placed a hand on Tara's shoulder and said, with a voice that shook the room, "This is my daughter." Complete silence. Tara lifted her glasses, removed her wig, stood tall. Gasps exploded across the hall. People jumped up. Some covered their mouths. Some looked like they might faint. One of the Gardners dropped his cap. The gossip trio clutched each other in terror. The lazy five stared like statues. Cynthia's jaw fell open. And Collins turned pale. White pale. Like blood had been sucked out of him. Chief Adeoi stepped aside so Tara could speak. She faced the crowd. The same crowd that mocked her, bullied her, insulted her weight, her clothes, her job. She wasn't shaking. She wasn't scared. She was powerful. "My name is Tara Akambi," she began. "And for the past month, I have worked here as a gardener. I wanted to understand what this company had become." People shifted uncomfortably. "I saw everything." Her voice grew colder. The lies, the laziness, the gossip, the bullying, the fraud, the manipulation, the abuse of power, the theft of millions. Gasps, whispers, fear. "In the last 4 weeks," Tara continued, "I recorded everything. Every conversation, every insult, every illegal activity, every stolen naira." She turned to the chairman and nodded. He clicked a remote. The projector screen lit up. The first video played, Collins threatening Tara in the storeroom. His exact words, "I will make your life a nightmare." The hall erupted. People cursed. Women gasped in disgust. Even senior staff looked horrified. Next recording, Cynthia and Collins discussing the diverted funds. "We have taken 22 million. Delete the records." Cynthia covered her face with her hands. Then video after video rolled. Lazy staff sleeping. Gossipers mocking Tara.h are discussing ways to hide discrepancies. Finance manipulating payroll sheets. Supervisors forging overtime. Each clip was a blow. Each revelation was a thunderbolt. By the time it ended, the hall was trembling with shock. The chairman stepped forward. "Mr. Collins Bamadil," he said sharply. "Stand up." Collins remained seated, frozen. 2 policemen approached. Suddenly, Collins sprang to his feet and tried to run. "No, wait, it's not me. It's a setup. Officers grabbed him. Staff screamed. Cynthia tried to slip out through a side exit, but EFCC officers cornered her. "Madam, please come with us." No, I didn't do anything." Her voice cracked hysterically. She clawed at the air as they handcuffed her. Multiple staff cried. Some shook their heads. Others whispered prayers. But Tara? She watched silently. Justice was finally moving. Once Collins and Cynthia were escorted out, the chairman addressed the hall again. "Today," he said, "this company is being reborn." He looked at Tara. "My daughter will now take over as CEO." Silence. Then applause. Soft at first, then louder, then thunderous. Tara felt her chest warm. Not from pride, but from relief. She had survived, and now she would rebuild. As staff began dispersing, some crying, some afraid, some relieved, Tara stood at the podium one last moment. She whispered to herself, "They thought I was nothing." A calm, steady smile lifted her lips. "Now I am everything." Tomorrow would be the beginning of a new Akanbi group. Clean, fair, strong. Hers. The conference hall felt like a different world after the arrests. The air was thick, buzzing with shock, fear, and disbelief. Some staff were still frozen in their seats. Some were whispering in frantic tones. Others were quietly crying, in relief or in terror. No one could tell. Tara stood at the center of it all, tall and calm. Her Gardner disguise shed like dead skin. The woman they mocked, bullied, and humiliated was gone. The air stood in her place. Her father stepped back and gestured lightly. "Tara, continue." Her heart beat slower now. Steady, confident. She walked toward the podium again, every eye glued to her. Tara scanned the hall. She saw fear in the eyes of the gossip trio, guilt in the faces of the lazy workers, shame in supervisors who had protected corruption silently, nervousness in managers who didn't know yet if they were safe. But she also saw hope. In the eyes of hard-working staff who finally felt seen, the cleaners standing quietly at the back, the drivers leaning against the wall, Fatima, clutching a mop as if it were an anchor keeping her grounded. Tara inhaled deeply. "I did not come here today," she began softly, "to embarrass anyone." The room fell silent. "I did not come to punish people for no reason. I did not come to prove anything about my family or my status." She looked down at her hands, then lifted her chin. "I came because this company is broken." Whispers rippled across the hall. "And broken things must be repaired." Tara continued, her voice steady. "For 4 weeks I walked among you, as a Gardner, a nobody. I was insulted, mocked, bullied, given impossible tasks, called names." The gossip trio bowed their heads. "I witnessed laziness, fraud, abuse of power, manipulation, corruption so deep that even my father did not see it." Her father's expression tightened painfully. "And yes," Tara said, voice solemn, "I was humiliated, deeply." Her voice didn't shake, but the room felt her pain. "But I also saw kindness." She turned her eyes toward the back of the hall. "Fatima." Fatima startled, almost dropping her mop. "You are one of the most hard-working people in this company," Tara said, smiling softly. "Compassionate, honest, dedicated." Fatima's eyes filled with tears. "That is the kind of spirit we need in the new Akanbi group." The applause started small, then grew, then roared. Fatima covered her mouth, crying openly. The applause died abruptly when a commotion broke out near the doors. One of the supervisors, Mr. Lawal, suddenly rushed for the exit, pushing past staff. "Open this door! Open this door now!" he shouted. 2 officers blocked him. "Sir, step back." "I didn't do anything," Mr. Lawal cried. "They forced me to sign things. Collins made me. Cynthia threatened me." "Calm down, sir," the officer said firmly. "I will not calm down. Please, don't arrest me. I have children." Tara watched with a mix of sadness and cold recognition. Guilt reveals itself fastest in panic. Her father signaled to the officers. "Let him stay. We will review his case later." Mr. Lawal slumped to the floor, sobbing. The room stayed painfully quiet. Tara turned back to the podium. "There is more," she said. Cynthia's earlier recording echoed in her mind. "We diverted 22 million. Delete the logs." The room braced itself. This company lost over 22 million naira to fraud. A heavy gasp radiated through the hall. Money stolen through fake overtime, ghost workers, altered payroll, unauthorized bonuses, and forged approvals. Finance staff looked like they might faint. Some of you in this room were involved. A loud, distressed cry rose from somewhere near the middle. "But many of you were victims," Tara continued. "Victims of a toxic work culture. Victims of intimidation. Victims of leaders who failed you." Several staff wiped tears from their cheeks. "Today ends all that." Chief Adeoye stepped to her side. "I am ashamed," he said quietly. "Ashamed that this company rotted under my watch. Ashamed that my daughter had to do what I should have done." Tara touched his arm softly. "You trusted people," she said. "Trust isn't weakness." He nodded gratefully. Then he faced the staff. "Effective immediately," he declared, "I am suspending all department heads pending investigation." Cries, gasps, stunned expressions. "The EFCC will review every financial record. HR will be restructured. Operations will be examined. No department is exempt." Silence. "And Tara, my daughter, will now take over as acting CEO." Another wave of applause thundered through the hall. Not nervous applause, genuine applause, hopeful applause. Fatima clapped the loudest. Even some managers joined in, accepting the shift. Tara inhaled deeply, humbled, determined. The remaining officers escorted several staff to the front. The 2 finance workers who helped Cynthia, a payroll clerk involved in ghost worker schemes, a logistics supervisor who signed false overtime, a junior HR officer who deleted salary complaints. They stood trembling. Tara looked at them, not with hatred, but with stern disappointment. "I don't enjoy seeing anyone punished," she said. "But actions have consequences." She turned to the officers. Take them for questioning. Treat them fairly. Yes, ma'am. As they were escorted out, some cried. Some pleaded. Some stayed silent. Tara didn't flinch. This wasn't revenge. It was justice. Next, Tara said, voice calm, we must address workplace culture. Her eyes swept toward the gossip trio. They shrank into their seats. She didn't call their names. She didn't need to. You will receive official warning letters, she said evenly, and mandatory training. One more incident of gossip, bullying, or harassment, and you're gone. The trio nodded frantically. Then the lazy five. They looked like they were waiting for execution. You're lucky, Tara said. You're not thieves, just irresponsible. They nodded, sweating. So here is your decision. Work hard starting today or go home. There will be no second warning. The men fell to their knees, thanking her. She held up a hand. Stand up. Prove it with work, not tears. Then Tara smiled. A warm, genuine smile. And now, she said, to the people who kept this company afloat. All eyes turned. Fatima. Fatima gasped again. Please come forward. Fatima shook her head. Me? Yes, you. Fatima stepped forward slowly, trembling. Tara took her hand. You were kind when you had nothing to gain. You work harder than people who earn 10 times your salary. You treated me, a supposed nobody, like a human being. Fatima began to cry. You are now the head of sanitation, Tara announced, effective immediately. The hall erupted into applause. Her father smiled proudly. Fatima sobbed openly as Tara hugged her gently. As the applause died down, Tara addressed the hall one last time. This company will change, she said. We will rebuild it from the inside out. She lifted her chin. There will be transparency. There will be fairness. There will be accountability. There will be opportunity for those who work hard. Heads nodded. Some people smiled for the first time in months. A Canby Group will not be a company of fear anymore, she declared. It will be a company of dignity. Her father stepped beside her, beaming. Together, father and daughter symbolized renewal. A new era, a new leadership. As officers led the guilty out of the building, as staff wiped tears of relief, as sunlight streamed through the tall glass windows, Tara walked to the front row, stood where Collins had sat so confidently an hour earlier, and whispered to herself, Your time is over. She picked up the broom he had thrown days ago, and quietly snapped it in half. Tomorrow, she would sit in the CEO's office for the first time, not as a Gardner, not as a victim, but as the rightful heir. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe to this channel and tell us where you are watching from. Have a wonderful day.